So how is everybody doing today? Beautiful Sunday. I had a great day yesterday. I hope all of you did also. I thought I'd come live and talk about kind of a fairly serious topic here. I have talked about this many times. I'm going to try to not get deleted from YouTube. And this is also being broadcast on the MFing COO on Twitter. So it could possibly get blocked there too, because it's not like that, you just have freedom of speech anywhere at all anymore, because even though it's a little better at Twitter than it used to be, people are still getting blocked all the time. They're getting deleted all the time. But today I thought could be very interesting to see if we as a people are going to shut the country down again for the sake of obese people that have had 3.5 years to get their shit straight. And I'm just being as flat out honest as I can. 3.5 years. If you were morbidly obese in 2020 and we locked the country down for you and you're still morbidly obese now, you at least better be fucking trying. If not, it's just a slap in the face to all of society. These people that just sit around and they're fat as fuck and they are, just like, love me for me and I'm fat. It doesn't involve you. It absolutely involves all of us. Public health and the mismanagement and or directed, curated management of it after 2020 affects all of us. Dr. Anthony Fauci even stated that one of the reasons why he was very pro locking down everybody and masks and all that crazy shit was because of the obesity epidemic. He's on camera saying it. And it's been one of my biggest issues the entire time is that, frankly, it was the greatest misstep in public health history. And granted, even if this was a very super deadly disease, which it is not, which it is not. They've gone back and admitted that about 33% of the cases weren't even from COVID, or 33% of the deaths weren't even from COVID. The CDC has said that only 5% of the people have died of COVID and the rest have died with. It just was not. It's always been in line with the seasonal flu. And if you're young and healthy, it was almost of no, you just lost 3 years of your life and we trashed the economy. Instead of trying to get everybody healthy again, which is what public health should have been doing even before this. Public health should be about public health. Public health should be about making sure the health of the population is as optimal as possible. Should we have some sort of natural disaster, should we have some sort of very serious illness come about, the healthier we are as a people, the less impact it's going to have on our society. This is common sense. And if our public health officials, government, and pharmaceutical and healthcare industry was actually in it for the people, we would be trying to avoid people getting sick and dying. But instead, we don't do that. Just ask anybody and look at the expression on their face. And ask yourself this if you haven't thought about this. But I released a little video on Twitter earlier. So ask yourself if the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry has any vested for-profit interest in getting you healthier, or if they just want to cure you, don't want to cure you. They don't want to actually make you better. They want to manage your illness. So, and when is this new lockdown happening? It's news to me. You don't think they're going to try this again? I mean, they're already talking. And for those of you that are wondering, just so you know, they are talking about this. The World Health Organization and the CDC have already started to, here's a good one. The World Health Organization, the CDC, and Biden administration are fear-mongering new COVID variant BA.2.86. They're calling it Iris, I believe, after highly mutated strain reported in Michigan. Sources from DHS and emergency management in my field are already preparing for lockdowns and restrictions. So you don't think they're going to try it again? You're stupid. I mean, I just, if you don't think that they're going to try to at least put masks back on people and stuff like that, you're pretty fucking dumb at this stage. You have not been paying the fuck attention. That's all I got to say. Before I get to anything else, I did have some house cleaning stuff I want to do, and I'll be talking about this multiple times. So due to the shipping service not getting us our product in time, we will be launching the 29th. Alchemy, which is right here, will be launching the 29th. However, I do have a great offer for those of you that do use No Morbidity, and I'm putting it in the chat right now. So if you wanted to get yourself a free bottle of No Morbidity, let me see if this works. It did. If you want to get yourself a free bottle of No Morbidity, the Ambrosia Collective and Alan Roberts are inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. This is at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, the 22nd. So since we are going to ask you to help us map out No Morbidity, which has been now uploaded onto Amazon, and we want your help mapping it out. And if you help us map it out, we will give you a bottle when you buy a bottle. So if you buy a bottle through Amazon through this time, we will give you a bottle of it. So if you use No Morbidity, this is a way for you to get a free bottle, as well as help us out to help spread the word to help many other people out. So I will be sending this out to many people, many more times. But the Ambrosia Collective and myself are inviting you to have a scheduled Zoom meeting with us at 8 p.m. on Tuesday evening to help map out No Morbidity on Amazon. I'm very excited about this. We've been working very hard on this. Amazon makes you jump through bunches of hoops, and this is how you connect a lot of your search terms straight to it. So we're very excited about this. Now, let's see here. My sister-in-law works at home healthcare, and her employer started making them wear masks again a couple months ago. It's going to happen. They're going to try it again. So I just, for those of you, I get said this all the time too. People say to me, "My health is none of your business." It is, actually. Now it is, especially if you take horrible care of your health. But I find that like the memory holing of 2020 is rather kind of incredible. So I did just something really quickly, right before, just sitting down right before we got here, and this is just a search engine. I'll use Brave search engine, and I just put it to revert to global time, anytime, custom range. Let's go from the 2020 January 1st to 2020 June 1st. Search. And this is, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is all the topics. This is the headlines. Obesity may make coronavirus infection worse. Obesity and COVID, the Obesity Society. Obesity a major risk factor for COVID-19 hospitalizations. Doctors are bracing for coronavirus pandemic to meet the obesity epidemic. Coronavirus and obesity. Industry urged to act post-crisis. Obesity linked to severe coronavirus disease. Doctors note is obesity a risk factor for coronavirus. Coronavirus and obesity. Doctors take aim at the food industry over this. Like, this was well documented, well known. This was absolutely well known. And I don't get why we now, instead of us like saying like, okay, this was all a real thing, that we pretty much were worried that the hospital system was going to be overloaded because we were going to have too many sick people. And then we're openly admitting that we know that you get sicker when you're fatter from coronavirus. And then instead of using this as an opportunity to try to encourage people to lose fucking weight, we bribe them to take an experimental therapy made by historically corrupt companies in a historically corrupt industry that had liability protection, so they couldn't possibly be sued, to take an experimental therapy that had a fraction of the time of testing that it normally does, that has never been tried before. This is the first time this technology had ever been used on the population. And we are now going to absolutely bribe you with Krispy Kreme, French fries, beer, and hamburgers to take this. And the therapy is to fight against a disease that you have already admitted is, in fact, harder on obese people. I'm sorry, but this is why I'm not buying any of this fucking shit. I didn't buy it from the fucking beginning. This is the research you could have easily done, by the way. Easily done. This one is from, I don't even know when this one's from. But this is all these ones right here. This is obesity and COVID. As our experience grows, information and the guidelines about SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus disease COVID is emerging rapidly. We are likely all aware that the clinical effects of this respiratory disease are particularly severe in certain populations, including seniors, people with pre-existing respiratory and cardiac disease, and those with compromised immune systems. People with obesity have a higher likelihood of being in each of these categories and should therefore be considered an increased risk for severe disease. This is particularly true for people who with moderate and severe obesity, who compromise physiological states and burden of complications is generally higher. In addition, for people with severe obesity, management of severe COVID-19 may also be compromised by challenges in diagnosis and treatment caused by the physical effects of their obesity. We have assembled this online resource that will help provide patients and all of whom counsel, support, advise, and treat people with obesity as we face the extraordinary risk of impact of a common cold that we had a very good marketing team. In an attempt to meet the needs for timely information and guidance in this rapidly evolving environment of a new common cold, this resource is divided into multiple sections of relevance for each of our institutions. This is obesity and its implications. This is new symptoms of COVID-19, loss of taste and smell, COVID-19 school closed, and weight gain. High prevalence of obesity and severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus. I mean, these are all realistic things. This is Wiley. This is the obesity and its implications for COVID-19 mortality. Let's see. This one is to the editor, a recent Journal of American Association, and this was done April 1st of 2020. A recent Journal of American Association viewpoint regarding fatalities in Italy associated with new coronavirus pandemic failed to mention obesity as one of the pre-existing diseases associated with death. It seems likely that the increased prevalence of obesity in older adults in Italy compared with China may account for the differences in mortality between the two countries. Furthermore, the rising prevalence of obesity in the United States and prior experience of the impact of obesity on mortality from H1N1 influenza, because that's who majority died from H1N1 influenza, should increase the sensitivity of clinicians caring for patients with obesity and COVID-19 to the need of aggressive treatments in such patients. Between April 2009 and January of 2010, the CDC, which is the government arm of the pharmaceutical industry, estimated that 41 to 84 million people were infected with H1N1 influenza virus, and between 180,000 and 370,000 infected patients were hospitalized, with 8,000 to 17,000 deaths. Several reports from around the world identified obesity and severe obesity as risk factors for the hospitalization because it is like any of these are inflammatory issues, inflammation in the lungs and stuff like that. When it already sounds like you're breathing soup because you live in a constant state of inflammation, as a newsflash, it's not going to be good for you. This is high prevalence of obesity and severe acute respiratory syndrome. This is from April 9th of 2009. Let's see, the objectives. COVID-19 pandemic is rapidly spreading worldwide, notably in Europe and North America, where obesity is highly prevalent. The relationship between obesity and severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS-CoV-2, has not been fully documented. This retrospective cohort study analysis of relationships between clinical characteristics, including BMI, and the requirements for invasive mechanical ventilation, which was shown to be just an idiotic move to begin with, and 124 consecutive patients admitted into intensive care for SARS-CoV-2 in the single French center. Results: obesity, BMI of over 30, and severe obesity, BMI over 35, were present in 47.6% and 28.2% of the cases overall. Overall, 85 patients, 68.6 required, and this is France, by the way. They have a much lower obesity rate than us. It was greatest in patients with BMI over 35, so the fatter you are, the worse it is. In multivariate logistic regression, the need for IMV was significantly higher, significantly associated with males, sex, and BMI, independent of age, diabetes, and hypertension. The odds ratio for IMV patients with BMI over 35 versus patients with BMI under 25 was 7.36. That means many times higher. The present studies showed a high frequency of obesity among patients admitted in intensive care for SARS-CoV-2. Disease severity increased with a BMI. Obesity is a risk factor for SARS-CoV-2. And I understand people are like, oh, I hate BMI. It's not this. This is the correlating data. So the higher your BMI, the more likely you are to get sicker from a cold, the flu, COVID. Reality exists. Get there. Let's see. Let's go to this one. This one is obesity, a major risk factor for COVID-19. This was on June 1st of 2020. It is amazing how this was done on June 1st of 2020 from John Hopkins, and yet we have just gotten fatter and fatter and fatter, and we are literally in the age of, look at me, I'm 400 pounds, you better find me sexy or you're fat phobic. Like, this is how stupid our fucking society is right now. Right? We literally just fucking closed the goddamn world down 3 years ago to protect people from a fucking cold virus that is predominantly much harder on elderly people and fat people. And instead of saying, hey, maybe we should fucking do something about this, we were worried about overloading the healthcare system because we've got so many fucking fat people and so many immunocompromised people, most of which are from lifestyle-driven chronic illnesses, people eating too much, drinking too much, smoking too much. Instead of us taking that as a cue to get healthier, no. We demonized everything fitness, demonized everything masculine, demonized everything that could possibly even thought about working out, running, everything like that. They make you try to believe that if you go running, you're going to die of heat stroke immediately because the earth is boiling. And meanwhile, I work out in like 100-degree temperatures for an hour and a half every single day. Fucking ridiculous. But so we know all of these things, and instead of actually trying to get people healthier, no. We are in the era of fat acceptance. We, at the same time, destroyed our fucking economy, destroyed the fucking mentality of fucking entire generation of young kids, made it so they had to fucking mask up for their first couple of years of development, which is fucking tragic to begin with. We injected fucking most of the goddamn population with a fucking guess. With a fuck, at best, that's a guess, you motherfuckers, that then showed to not actually stop transmission or stop infection, and not stop death either. I mean, as it seems, there's a lot of other fucking issues with this motherfucking thing. So we did all of this because we knew that obesity is a major risk factor for COVID-19 hospitalization, and we were trying to protect the hospital system, and we did everything else but ask fat people not to fucking eat pizza. We destroyed everything else except for fat people. We let them get fatter. And then we made it socially unacceptable to say lose fucking weight. John Hopkins cardiologist David Cass discussed a recent study that he co-led that links higher body mass index to more severe cases of COVID-19 and points to obesity as a significant pre-existing condition in younger patients in particular. June 1st, 2020, as patients with confirmed cases of COVID-19 first began arriving at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore in March, cardiologist David Cass heard surprising observations from his colleagues in the ICU. I don't know why they're fucking surprising, David, because I think that's just for dramatic effect, because we know that fat people have a harder time every flu season also. First, the patients were younger than expected in light of reports from China and Italy that the virus mostly endangered the elderly, because that's also admitted that if we looked at China and at Italy, it was just the old people we should have protected, not tried to fucking squash everybody's fucking existence. We just knew we were fat as fuck. Secondly, many of the patients in Baltimore were obese. Even based on about 20 patients at first, the findings were already significant, says Cass, a former professor of medicine who leads the Institute of Cardioscience within Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. But at the time, you could do a Google search of COVID-19 and obesity, you basically got back nothing. In the weeks since, a number of studies on anecdotal reports have pointed to obesity being a notable risk factor for COVID-19 and often the primary risk factor for younger patients. The primary risk factor for other patients, other younger patients, you know, the what I eat in a day videos because I'm fat and I don't give a fuck people. This month, Cass and two Hopkins colleagues gathered preliminary findings from 6 ICU units around the United States, concluding in a Lancet report that in populations with high prevalence of obesity, COVID-19 will affect younger populations more than previously reported. This risk is particularly relevant in the U.S. because the prevalence of obesity is around 40%. I scoff at that now. If you looked at visceral obesity, even in 2018, we were over 50%. But now I would bet you money that even just BMI and visceral obesity, that we are well over 50%. Compared to the prevalence in China of about 6% and in Italy of about 20%. The Hub recently spoke with Cass for more insight on why obesity is associated with more severe outcomes and how that should change our thinking about our best way. And we've done a lot of research on this since then. There's vitamin D deficiency because of how fat they are, because fat people are normally vitamin D deficient. There's so many things. But what are you and other experts seeing in the early data? After the initial observations at Johns Hopkins, we had enough data to see a significant correlation between having a higher BMI, body mass index, and young age in a young age in the COVID-19 patients requiring intensive care. So I emailed about 35 cardiologist friends of mine across the country who helped connect us to the ICU physicians in a diverse area spanning from Washington State to New York and Florida. We ended up with data from 6 hospitals related to about 260 patients, and they all follow the same relationship we first seen at Johns Hopkins. While the study from the Lancet wasn't processed, the topic of the obesity started gaining more attention. A New York Times editorial for 2 physicians pointed to the problem, and obesity was noted as a potential factor with the eruption of severe cases in New Orleans. So there was moments of, hey, wait a minute, America, you may think you don't have a pre-existing risk factor for COVID-19, but guess what? Here's one you haven't thought about because we're fat as fuck. Our data shows that if you are younger and you end up in the hospital with COVID-19, it is more likely that you are obese. So if you are younger and get sick from COVID-19 and end up in the hospital, you are more than likely obese. So do you know what that means? If you're not obese, you're more than likely not going to end up in the hospital from fucking cold. And yet we got fatter. And they're talking about this bullshit again. Instead of telling people to get fucking healthy, we're saying like, oh, don't shame fat people. No, lose fucking weight. We fucked up the world for you. Ridiculous. The younger patients are less likely to have other major comorbidities such as hypertension, heart disease, and even diabetes. So obesity can be the primary factor that impacts their COVID-19 course. So that obesity is, in fact, the comorbidity that is predominantly putting younger people at risk of this. You stupid fucks. Studies have now shown obesity increases the likelihood that you'll end up in the hospital or ICU, or that your disease course can be even more severe. The reason the comorbidities aren't showing up in younger patients, let's say under 40 or 50, is that the cardiac, vascular, and metabolic risk linked to obesity may not have had enough time to develop in a concrete way. You'll find that COVID-19 patients who are younger are unlikely to have heart disease or prior stroke, and many are not yet diabetic. So we need to be paying attention to obesity as a major risk on its own. And we knew this, and our public health officials didn't mention obesity at fucking all. The only time Fauci mentioned obesity, because I've checked, the only time Fauci mentioned obesity was when he was using it as a reason of why we should remain locked down. Facts. The CDC director, Rachel Walensky, never fucking mentioned it. Not once. She never mentioned obesity. Not one motherfucking time. Ridiculous. You'll find that COVID-19 patients who are younger are likely to have blah, 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 so he's seen a risk factor on his own. What factors might explain why COVID-19 risk factors are higher in obesity? One is based on physics. People with substantial obesity, say a BMI of over 35, are carrying on a lot of excess weight, mostly in their abdomen, below the diaphragm. You move your diaphragm towards your feet every time you breathe. If you have an extra 80 pounds or more to move, that makes breathing harder. This would be true. Really for any respiratory disease. As I've said, any respiratory disease is harder on obese people because you're fucking fat. With COVID-19, we're also seeing that the membrane separating the lung, airways, sacs, and blood vessels surrounding them become leaky, allowing fluid to enter the airways. This makes it harder to get oxygen from the air to the blood, so the diaphragm has to work even harder, and obesity restricts this. Inflammation is another factor. Fat itself is metabolically active, and it produces a fair number of pro-inflammatory molecules called cytokines, TNF-A, IL-1, IL-6, which are a type of immune protein. It's as if your body is kind of battling itself continuously, a little war caused by signals. And this is factual. This is why you cannot be obese and consider yourself healthy. You're in a constant state of inflammation. Shut the fuck up. A little war caused by signals releasing from the fat cells, which the immune system responds to, producing a low level of background inflammation. So if you are obese, this is the baseline. If you are obese, you are in a constant state of inflammation as a baseline. It is not a guess. It is reality. Now you superimpose a bigger battle with a novel virus that the immune system has not seen before, which is untrue because many people even had T-cell immunity, and we can get into that whole thing fucking later. And it becomes hyperactive. That's not a good combination. Another area I believe deserves more study is the role of ACE2 protein in fat cells. This protein is key for the COVID-19 virus, as the virus must bind to it in order to gain entry into the cell. It turns out fat cells express ACE2 at a fairly high level, And there are some past data on this idea related to the respiratory viruses that they can attack fat, last in fat, and shed more slowly from fat. This could make obese people more infectious even as symptoms get bigger. And it was then thus proven about a month after this that obese people spread the virus longer with a higher intensity than people that were leaner. So they are, in fact, they spread the virus more. Experts, so why would we not ask them to lose fucking weight? No, don't be fat phobic. Let's make sure they think they're fucking glorious queens and have them eat everything they want. And if you don't want to fuck them, there's something wrong with you, even though we fucking shut the fucking country down to protect fat people. Experts believe the U.S. needs to be particularly concerned with the obesity issue because of the high rates here. But within the U.S., the risks are uneven, correct? It's true that our overall obesity rates are much higher than, example, China, which is around 6% with it. But I thought genetics. Within the U.S., there are regions with lower obesity rates that fall in the upper teens, similar to those in Europe. Then we also have many states where their rates are 40% or higher. I actually recently created a spreadsheet based on data easily obtained online to investigate this question. The data online, by the way, is from 2018. So 5 years old at this point. Whether there is a positive correlation between obesity percentage in a given state and the number of positive cases, who cares about fucking cases, by the way? Everybody's probably had this. People that think they haven't had it have probably had it. To do this, I first normalized the number, blah, blah, blah. What do you think the message is for people who are currently obese in the understanding of COVID-19? I think the message is that you need to treat obesity seriously as a pre-existing condition that increases your risks of COVID-19. Maybe you didn't consider that because you're young and thought that this is an old person thing, but no, if you're obese and you're 25 or 35 or 45, you have a risk factor and you should be appropriately careful. If you're in a state that decided upon to open up commercial establishments like bars and restaurants, you might normally go to these places, think twice, or at minimum take the precautions of wearing a diaper on your face that does absolutely motherfucking nothing, and social distancing, which also does absolutely nothing because viruses travel on aerosolized vapor that travel up to 30 fucking meters. Both of those things are stupid as fuck. Social distancing had absolutely no basis in science. It was moronic. These precautions have been voluntary around the country, and we're seeing large variables in how people follow these recommendations, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so here's another one. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, this is from April 10th of 2020. As more people get sick and die from COVID-19, scientists and public health professionals are learning more about which populations are more vulnerable. Emerging research and anecdotal evidence suggest obesity may exacerbate COVID-19, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention now consider severe obesity a high-risk condition. But geographic reports linking obesity with COVID-19 severity are faulty, and some say stigmatizing, because we can't call them fat. That'll be a problem, even though they're dying of a fucking cold. So all the reality, all the common sense, they're in an inflammatory state. We should watch out for them. All that shit, but don't stigmatize the fat people eating too much food, even though they eat too much fucking food. Don't stigmatize that they're going to fucking die of a fucking cold that normally wouldn't be a fucking danger to them at all if they didn't have the 200 extra fucking pounds on them. Yeah, don't stigmatize that shit. It is true. It is not a stigma. They're fat, they're sickly, they're dying of a fucking cold that would normally be of no fucking threat to them if they weren't fat. I mean, reality exists, you stupid fucks. Coronavirus obesity industry urges to act post-crisis. Coronavirus pandemic should give the food industry increased impetus to make healthier products, according to the experts. That's never going to happen. These industries are not going to just voluntarily cut out their fucking cash cows. You people are fucking dumb. This is a stupid ass fucking article from the fucking inception. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. 76.5% of critically ill coronavirus patients were overweight in the UK. That's fucking, it's reality, you know? Doctors note, is obesity a risk factor for coronavirus? It is increasingly evident that obesity is linked to poor outcomes for those who are infected with coronavirus disease. This is on May 11th. We already know that patients whose obesity-related conditions, such as cardiovascular disease, are high risk of diabetes, which can mean which are high risk of diabetes, which can mean a higher risk of development of complications of COVID. but is obesity itself itself a risk factor for developing complications? And if so, why? Writing about obesity always is difficult because people are overweight for different reasons. All of those reasons are overconsumption, all of them. And I know it's harder for some people to lose weight and keep weight off, but that still does not change the fact that you are overconsuming for your particular body. Reality exists. Get there faster. It's also unfair to group all overweight people into the same category. Who fucking gives a fuck about it? Wasn't fair to close down the fucking world. But if you're overweight, lose fucking weight. No matter what the fucking reason, get fucking healthy. Do your very best to be as fucking healthy as you can. We should all be trying to be as healthy as we can. We should all be trying to train and eat and prepare ourselves as if some sort of very serious oppressor is coming to take your freedom away. And you might need to fight for it. Just a little fucking tip. A study in New York of more than 4,000 people concluded that obesity was the single biggest risk factor after age and whether those COVID-19 had to be admitted to the hospital. The single biggest risk factor. It was the single biggest factor. However, young under 60 patients with a body mass index, a calculation taken about height and weight squared, between 30 and 34 were almost twice as likely to be admitted to the ICU compared to patients with BMI of less than 30. This likelihood increased to 3.6 times more likely in patients with a BMI of 35 or greater. It is not just in the U.S. that studies are showing obesity as a risk factor. China saw it also. Other places saw it also. It's just reality. Why is obesity a risk factor? Overweight and obese patients may have underlying health conditions resulting to their overweight, such as type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease. Their immune systems may be impaired, which is 100% of the time true. Being overweight may mean someone is in a more chronic state of inflammation, which is 100% of the time true. As a result, their immune system is always switched on and may not have enough in reserve to fight a serious illness effectively, or even a cold, with a great marketing team. You can imagine it as being a bit like leaving a car engine running while stationary and burning the fuel needed for upcoming long distance drive. Excessive body weight around the abdomen also prevents the lungs from expanding fully and filling with air. So when they do need to work harder, for example, with pneumonia, they are restricted. This is why, again, all upper respiratory viruses and all upper respiratory illnesses normally take obese people out much easier than to take lean people out. This is just truth, fact. We've known this for a long fucking time. A patient who is obese is also physically more difficult to intubate, which is also true. They're harder to do lots of physical things on. People with obesity are also harder to transport. Specialized beds and equipment are often needed for large patients, which it's fucking ridiculous. Obesity and general health concerns. Obesity is defined as disruption of an energy balance that leads to weight gain and metabolic disturbances that cause tissue stress and dysfunction. This means that obesity is not just being overweight, but also the adverse effects of being overweight on the body. One of these adverse effects is the disruption and function of immune system called a lymphoid or neutrophil line. These are cells that can tell infection from normal tissue that may be kept into balance in order to maintain a healthy immune system. Obesity can disrupt this balance and lead to low level of chronic inflammation in normal tissue caused by these cells. This places the body under constant low level of physical stress on a microscopic scale. This is just fucking true, people. Here's another one. This one is from March 20th of 2023. This is one of the earliest ones. Let's see. And again, this is just talking through what is coronavirus, COVID, SARS, MERS, which MERS has a higher infection fatality rate, by the way. Let's see. This is... I don't even know when this one's from. Oh, April 27th. This is coronavirus and obesity. Doctors take aim at the food industry for poor diets. But we didn't follow through at all. We just got fucking fatter. We literally just got fucking fatter. I mean, this is why I say that they fucking failed us. The poor and marginalized will be the hardest hit by coronavirus because they try to paint poor people as fat. Viral spread. Being obese increases your risk of deadly coronavirus, doctors warn. This is from March 23rd of 2020, according to an NHS survey, over 60% of the patients who were in intensive care, this is all the same data, just kind of repeated over, but we knew this. We knew this. 4 of the 6 people who have died from coronavirus in Mexico so far had diabetes, raising alarm. I mean, we've known this. The single biggest risk factor, 3 out of 5 Brits have it, that's obesity. That's being overweight. Big problem, obesity and coronavirus. What's the link? This is also from early on. Even Fox News, this is August. Obesity can increase coronavirus-related deaths risk by almost 50%. So my question to all of you, I just showed you how we knew this at the very beginning. We knew this at the very, very, very beginning. How have we gotten fatter? Like, how big of a failure of public health is it that we have, in fact, gotten fatter? I will take questions in Q&A. I did want to remind everybody that this right here, this link I'm sharing, and I will be sharing it often. I'm going to send it to everybody on the app too. This is for a meeting on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time with myself and Sean and the rest of the Ambrosia Collective. And it is going to you are going to help us outline, to tag basically No Morbidity on Amazon platform. And for your help with this, we will give you a bottle of No Morbidity when you buy one through Amazon. We'll have a special link for you where you'll get a bottle for free. So it is basically a buy one, get one. So please do join us. You can ask questions too. I would love to have all of you there. And for those of you that do not know, our package still did not, our shipment still did not arrive, but it is arriving. We are going to be launching. The official date is the 29th. We have guaranteed postage. So the 29th of August, we are launching Alchemy, and the two of them together can help cure this problem instead of us locking down over it again. I don't understand. Like, I've said this for a while now, that I don't, like, we locked down to protect elderly people and fat people, and yet we didn't ask fat people to fucking do anything about it. Elderly people, we should try to protect. We should always try, as a society, protect the weakest among us that can't prevent that weakness. The elderly and the young. We should always protect the elderly and young. We let the elderly die. We even sent in many states, we even sent people with a pathogen that is known to be hazardous to them back into their nursing home to watch thousands of fucking elderly people die unnecessarily because of stupidity. And children, we just have basically abused children for like the last fucking 3.5 years with everything from trying to convince them that they need to have their fucking penises cut off to also that, you know, they should wear a mask and they're going to kill their grandparents if they breathe on. Instead of us saying, hey, we're fat as fuck as a population. If we were healthy, this wouldn't be an issue. At no point in time did they try to get anybody healthy. They did everything they could to, in fact, try to fucking get people locked down. Frank says, are we going to get another lockdown? Well, Frank, I'm just going to say that I'm betting they're going to try again. When you look at this, when you look at the fact that they are, in fact, talking about a new variant, and it's you know, the WHO is looking at it and all sorts of shit. I'm telling you, they're already starting. And by the way, many people are saying that they're already starting to institute masks again, places, and all sorts of stuff like that. They're going to try. They're going to. We should be doing nothing. Nothing. They don't have the right to tell us to do anything. They can call another state of emergency and have their powers back. I'm telling you, they're going to do it again. Like you don't give power away to people, to the government. You don't give rights away to the government, because any right you give away likely is going to have to require you to fight to get back. They're not going to give up power. They're not going to. They never did. It's still this facade that they gave up any power. They're still controlling everything we fucking do. They're getting very, like, I'm telling you, they are going to try this again. And that's one of the reasons why they want to keep you fat. A fat population is a sickly population. A fat, sickly population is a very malleable, controllable population. Half you fuckers out there right now that are super fucking fat know that you're on some sort of medication that you need on a daily basis, and that if all of a sudden they would take that away from you, you'd be super fucked. You know this. But instead of fixing it, for some reason, society has just looked past it. Like, it is so strange to me that we live in a society where people inject themselves with insulin on the same day that they eat processed sugar. Right? Like, you have type 2 diabetes, so you're going to eat processed sugar while having type 2 diabetes. I find that so fucking moronic. Like, I find it stupid. I find it fucking asinine. I really goddamn do. It's so stupid. I mean, I can't even get over how dumb it is. But it happens every day to millions, tens of millions of people. Tens of millions of people probably inject themselves with diabetes medications and or take oral diabetes medications, and still eat like crap. It's fucking amazing. They're not trying to get you healthy. They are not trying to get you healthy. So let's see here. It's not about public health. It's about money. That's always been the case. It's always been about money. Always. The public health and the pharmaceutical industry is not in any fucking way trying to help get people healthy. They want you on the comeback. They want you on the comeback. That is it. That is it. Just completely moronic. I'm reposting something here. I'm checking something out. All right. They can only lock us down if we don't stand together. That's what I'm saying. Don't comply. Do not comply. I won't. I can guarantee you. I won't have to because I live in Florida, but I won't. I can guarantee you. They are talking about a new variant. Yep, they are. So as we were talking about a new variant, let's remind them that instead of taking care of the problem initially, that would have saved many, many, many people. Imagine if we would have had, like, 2020 should have been the biggest, like, outcry to start eating healthier, getting physical activity, getting out in the sun more often, getting away from your TV more often, getting fresh air and exercising. It should have been the biggest wake-up call ever. But instead, they told you to stay in, closed all gyms, and they had you watch fear porn and a death ticker all fucking day long. It should have been the largest call to public health ever. For fuck's sake, people, I lost 40 fucking pounds. I was still about 220, and I was like, you know what? I got to fucking get this lower. So I lost about 40 fucking pounds. I mean, goddamn, people, like, what the fuck? I realized, like, okay, I'm still technically obese, even though I'm fucking much leaner and it's muscle. I got to get this fucking weight off me. So I fucking got the fucking weight off me. And I'm keeping the fuck off. 2 years, 7 months, and 3 fucking days, no binge. Like, what the fuck? I'm impressed at how quickly Ambrosia ships out orders. They're animals. Animals. Alan, you are an absolute animal. Let's get America lean and healthy. Hell yeah, James. Hell fucking yeah. Watch me not comply again. Same. My job was walking people out who refuse to wear a mask. Curious if they'll do that again. I refuse the mask again. I would fucking have a lawyer waiting. Hi, Alan. I already take magnesium supplement to help with my CVBP health. Should I take alchemy with it? Or should I stop the magnesium when I start taking alchemy? Thanks for the advice. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't be able to take magnesium with it. It's not like it's not an actual blood pressure medication where it's going to drop your blood pressure too fucking low. It just showed improvement on people's blood pressure standards. So it might actually just help for the both of them work together too, Darth. But that's very, very good. Very, very good question. Thank you. Hey, almost missed this. Help with the Amazon stuff. It's right here. Here's the link for it. And I'll be sending it out to everybody on the app too. So everybody, let's see, new variant just in time for campaign season. Isn't that crazy how that works? Isn't that crazy? I have 300-pound people telling me how unhealthy my plant-based lifestyle is. Like, put down the McDonald's and unfuck yourself. I agree. For China to win a war against America, all they would have to do is stop sending medical supplies. I say it all the time. I say that all the time. They like the pharmaceutical industries. The pharmaceutical industries could emerge and fucking say, we own America. If you don't like it too fucking bad, we'll wipe out 60 million. They could wipe out like 60 million people in like 2 months. Does that not concern anybody? Like, seriously, the pharmaceutical industry could wipe out like 60 million fucking people. And they're not, like, most of these companies are not American-based companies. They can claim they are, but they're global companies. Global. They would just be like, whatever, we just won't sell to you. What the fuck are we going to do about it? By the time we could possibly produce generics on our own, like fucking 60 million people would die. No shit. Alan, the country's greatest assets is its citizens. If this were true, why does government condone obesity? Obesity is a national security threat. It is also bad for the environment. Like, here's how fucked up it is. Here's how you know they want you sick. They want you fucking weak. They want you fucking on the government teat. When you look at obesity objectively, everything that they say they are against, obesity could help cure. Like when it comes to climate change, public health, those sorts of things. Like obesity is absolutely bad for the environment. The overconsumption, the overproduction, the overpackaging, and the shipment of foods for this overconsumption leads to more waste in the environment at the very least. Okay? Obesity is bad for the individual, society. It's bad for fucking the planet. But they don't address it at all. They treat it as if it's like oh no, oh, this person has obesity, we should be super nice to them and like have them live their best life. Like, fuck, they're not living their best life. They're fat as fuck. You're there, and you're not. Like, I don't give a fuck what you say. I don't care how much money you have. You're not living your best life. You're just not. You're not. You're living a very short, fucking painful fucking existence. And I don't give a fuck how much money you have. That's why everybody's like, Lizzo leads the best life ever. No, she fucking does not. That woman knows she's fucked. She looks like a melted candle. You know she knows it every time she fucking views herself. And she fucking, deep down, that woman hates her fucking self, if you ask me. Hates herself. You know how I can say that? Because nobody would keep doing that to themselves that didn't hate themselves. Learn to love yourself enough to be healthy, for fuck's sake. Anyone seen CVS getting called out over the offensive greeting card? Now we can't even congratulate people working hard to lose. That's horrible. I did not see that, but I'll check it out. They offered rewards for snitching on those who were breaking lockdown protocols in 2020. People will not stick together and they will let themselves be controlled. I know. That's my biggest concern. I mean, it's not going to work. It's not going to be me. And again, here, by the way, here is where that's the meeting address. I'll be posting this every day, but on Tuesday, like I said, 8 p.m., myself and the Ambrosia Collective, we're going to be mapping out No Morbidity on Amazon, and you can get a free bottle when you buy one for helping us out. So please do check that out. I have a bone to pick with you. You kept mentioning the show Alone, so I checked it out, and now I'm addicted. It's one of the most amazing fucking shows ever. Don't tell me what happened. Nobody fucking tell me what happened. I've got the fucking finale to watch today. So don't tell me what the fuck happened. Don't tell me what the fuck happened. I will be fucking pissed. Don't tell me what happened. I love that fucking show. If you aren't watching Alone, you should watch it. Obesity equals money and control. Two things government wants. Yep. Alan, I just started No Morbidity last week, and I'm down 2 to 3 pounds. I wish I started sooner. Meg, the artist, thank you very much. For those of you that want it, you can get it at Ambrosia Collective. You can get tigerfitness.com. You can get it at the Vitamin Shop. You can now get it on Amazon, and we will have it other places too. We're about to go in Sprouts Markets, I believe, and we might even be, hopefully eventually Walmart. That would be fucking huge. Let's see. We almost refuse to go along with the BS. It's going to be an election year. Exactly. They are not going to lock down for fat people. They will lock down because they are authoritarians who want control. No, but my point is they use the excuse of fat people. We shouldn't have locked down before. They don't have I have said for I've said for a long time we should have never shut down. I wouldn't care if it killed like fucking half the population. They don't have the fucking authority to tell me where I can and can't go. Individual liberty. They don't have the fucking authority to. Like the Constitution can't exist with that, right? But but they will use it as a fucking excuse. And that's what they did last time. That was my whole point. Some contestant won. That's good. I'm glad it was a contestant, not a bear. My main problem with Alone is the wingers who leave before they even get their shelters up. Yeah, they take an opportunity away from other people I'm sure would want to be on the show. Not me. Because while I love outdoor stuff and I love fucking survival stuff, if Crystal and I could go together, different scenario, I got it at Vitamin Shop and we'll add it to the Amazon subscriptions. Woo! Thank you very much. But listen, guys, I've been on for a little while. I just wanted to point out to you that we've always known this. This is why I'm sorry. Like, I don't buy into this at all. Here's my thing. I don't even think that they think it's that deadly unless they either don't think it's that deadly or they want fat people to die because they didn't warn them or try to help them. It's one or the other. The federal government either wants fat people to die or they don't think it's actually that deadly. One or the other. because they did not warn fat people at all. They just got people fatter, to tell you the truth. And they knew everything that they would be doing would, in fact, get people fatter. It's very predictable outcomes, right? So they absolutely knew it was extremely, extremely predictable outcomes, you know? Both, possibly both, very possibly both, very, very, very possibly both, you know? But as I always say, like, I mean, I will help out anybody that wants to lose weight, but let's be real. Like, we live in a state where your health is, in fact, everybody's business. My health is, in fact, everybody's business. It is just truth. Because if we are going to have our government tyrannically try to fucking impose unconstitutional bullshit on us and use the excuse of immunocompromised and the healthcare system and everything like that, then we need to we need to make America healthy again. And Corey, I'm working on it right now. I absolutely am going to be back on there, but I had to film a new ad for them. Anyway, guys, hope everybody has a great day. I am off to go hang out with the wife. I will talk to you all tomorrow. And one more time, this is the Ambrosia Collective and Alan Roberts. On Tuesday evening at 8 p.m., we will be mapping out No Morbidity on Amazon, and I look forward to us having to do this again a couple months down the road for Alchemy also. So I hope you all join us for that. We appreciate you very much. God damn.